So, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Nice to be with you all. Nice to sit here. And I've been sitting here, during this pandemic, sitting here teaching alone with the camera a lot of the time. And but to have 45 minutes to sit with others in silence is something we used to do all the time, and I think I took it for granted. But I haven't had that much experience of it over the last period. So it was nice to sit with you this way. Thank you. And I debated whether just to take the evening as a time for questions and responses. But maybe we can still mostly do that. But partly out of that sitting and a little bit I've been thinking about this or being with this topic for the day I want to share with you. And there is a lot of value if all you do in meditation is nothing. If you sit up straight, or some appropriate other way of being with your posture kind of present here, and then notice all the ways you try to do something. Some of it is you notice that, if you've been kind of running around all day, you might feel that your body is still kind of wants to run around, and you feel kind of the urge to bolt or to move or to shift, or the eyes don't want to sit still. The eyes are doing something. They're still darting around, maybe. And then slowly, just by doing nothing, things settle and quiet down. Or you might notice that you're thinking a lot, and the thinking is often a doing. A lot of thinking is motivated by some form of wanting something or not wanting something. And there's a kind of activity, a doing, wanting, reaching, trying to understand, remembering, planning, figuring things out, telling stories to yourself. It is a kind of a doing. And if the rest of you doesn't do much, if you sit quietly with your eyes closed, sooner or later you start noticing all this doing in the mind. And you might also notice that kind of the mind at some point doesn't want to do it anymore. It's like, this is a lot, this is tiring, or, isn't there some other way of being? Maybe it's just, enough of that already. Or somehow the mind itself will sometimes begin to settle, partly because if there's a lot of thinking, there's tension in the mind, or pressure. And so you feel the tension and pressure after a while, and that's kind of represents some of this doing momentum of the mind. And just sit quietly, it kind of settles down and quiets, and things quieter and quieter. And a lot of it comes from not doing. And I say it because some people bring the habit of doing and fixing and making something happen and trying to attain something, trying to get concentrated with them into the meditation practice. And it's not wrong to do that. In fact, sometimes it's helpful and nice to have that certain intention or more direction that you're practicing. But a lot happens just by not doing. Keeping it really, really, really simple. And for sometimes, as a teacher, some people who are, really doing is their specialty, I'll tell them to, in meditation, that the only thing they should do in meditation is to avoid doing anything. Just that's it. Like I shouldn't give them any practice like follow your breath. That's just too much doing for them. Just be really attentive to every movement of the mind, the heart, the body, to try to do something, make something happen, fix something, and just don't do it. So that just don't do it at school of meditation. And what's remarkable about this, it is not passivity. If you're sitting, you can fall asleep if you're laying down or too slouched on the couch or something. But it's not passivity. It's the releasing of a healthy kind of energy inside of us. There's a different kind of flow of attention, of sensations, of aliveness, of presence that's available in the body that is very different feeling than that of being agitated or over caffeinated. Like you plug yourself into an electric outlet and like, wow. And you feel kind of jangled or something. But as we settle, some of the tiredness, some of the tensions, all kinds of things begin to settle away, and something gets released inside. And some people call it a movement towards harmony, where the energies, the sensations, the feelings, the emotions in our body begin to kind of gather together, organize themselves, settle, and there can start being a nice feeling it's comfortable to be in the body. It's nice to be here. Even if there's pain, sometimes there's pain in the body. Even so, there might be some other parts of the body where there's a kind of a nourishing feeling of wholeness, nourishing feeling of presence, or of kind of like you're in a warm bath. Wow, this is cool. And the remarkable thing is that's the kind of a good feeling, really good to be in your body. It's like really good to be present and be here. Can come, believe it or not, from not doing anything. But it's kind of like a high quality not doing. Really sitting up and not just letting be. And then sooner or later, what becomes even more delightful is with this some point what's kind of not the only thing that left, but what stands out in highlight is that our minds can know, our minds can be aware, and an awareness which is not being recruited to accomplish something, to do something. It's not being hijacked to be critical or angry or about something, or to be somehow, it's not being hijacked by thoughts which are kind of undermining, or thoughts which are somehow mean-spirited in some direction or other. There are thoughts that the awareness becomes more and more left alone because the doing quiets down, and the awareness starts to become a kind of lucid, clear, vibrant. It becomes its own kind of wonderful thing. Just like the body feels like you're in a bath. After a while, the mind, the awareness, can feel like the fog is cleared. It's just like suddenly, the clouds with fog is cleared. It's completely, everything's so clean and clear, and it feels so good. So today's talk, this little talk, was a little bit of a coming out of an appreciation for how much can happen by not doing in meditation. And one of the ways to use mindfulness is to be attentive, and very attentive to how you're starting to do something. So there it is, trying to make something happen, trying to get rid of something, and experiment with not. It's really good to see all that, and then back away. Just okay, don't do it. Just let it be. And then see what happens next, and see what happens next. And so the mindfulness is used to support this not doing, rather than mindfulness being used in support of attaining or getting or fixing or correcting or whatever else it gets caught in. And so I offer these words kind of a little bit in a kind of awe that I feel this evening. There's a whole process of what can happen, what can unfold when we sit and meditate that can feel like super healthy, super good, and you didn't accomplish anything. Imagine that. Anyway, so that's my words. I hope they make some sense. I hope they're a little bit inspiring for you to maybe appreciate the value of not doing in this kind of high-quality way in which we do it in meditation. So now, if you have any questions, comments, or protests, you're welcome to take the mic and speak.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so
Hi.
much for the sitting.
What's your name? What's your name?
Anne Rose. Hi. The part where you were saying, Gil, about like noticing when you are doing something, but what about like when you're trying to investigate?
Trying to investigate.
You know,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like anything with those
Yeah.
acronyms or the raft. I mean, isn't that like a good thing?
Yeah. Well, there's many ways of practicing mindfulness, and so there are ways that are more active like this. And I spend a lot of time in meditation just being with my breathing. I choose my breathing, I'm there with it. And so I'm kind of doing something there. And sometimes using like the raft is really helpful, acronym, practice. Because if you don't do it, it's worse. And because then you're really caught up in everything. But if you go through this kind of investigation, things settle down. You see clearly what's happening, and you see what you can stop doing. You see what you can relax. So part of over time, what we learn in doing this practice, we learn when it's wise to be a little bit more actively involved and to do something like this, and when we're better off backing off and doing nothing. But both are needed. Yes. And at different times, different things are useful. And so I think maybe a little bit that my words today were motivated by, I meet a lot of meditators who err on the side of the doing part. And they don't understand the not doing part very well. But both are good. And if right now you're kind of learning and getting your bearings with the doing part and you're enjoying it and it's working for you, keep doing it.
Well, it's not so much enjoyment, just
yeah,
just being aware that I am doing something that I would probably rather not want to be doing.
Ah.
So thank you.
But once you notice you're doing something you don't want to do, you might be halfway there.
Oh, wow.
So don't underestimate how powerful it is to simply see, oh, look at that, I'm doing it again, I'm doing it, I don't want to do this. Congratulate yourself.
Okay.
And then let it be. Just, okay, I'm going to watch you for a while. I'm just going to be with you for a while, as opposed to getting in there and immediately and do something. So see if you can appreciate what you've done, and maybe that's all you need to do. Now you can just, okay, I'm going to keep my eye on you. And what will happen is it'll probably settle by itself then.
Okay. Thank you so much. That was really helpful.
A lot of the difficult things we do in our mind, and this is not always true. They can't really be sustained if they're being watched. And so you don't have to do anything but watch. So someone else?
Hello. I haven't been here for years. It's so nice to come back in person. I'm Lika, and in my family, ADD runs in our genes. And so this idea of not doing is, I feel, more difficult.
It's difficult?
More difficult,
Uh-huh.
yeah, on that level, because the mind is constantly distracted externally. Also, we get paid to be very efficient and do a lot here in Silicon Valley.
Oh, yes, good.
It's so efficient, efficiency.
It's,
Get it done. Do, to-do lists, right? So, since I'm not retired yet or independently wealthy, how can I sit with nothing and do nothing when everything around me is always moving, and like my mind always grabs on like that?
There's a secret visualization practice. Is when Silicon Valley is coming down heavy on you, telling you should be efficient, you visualize yourself sticking your tongue out at all of the Silicon Valley. That's what you think of that, at least when you're meditating. Like, leave me alone, enough already. Yeah, these things become habits, or become kind of even addictions at times to doing and making all that. So it's really helpful to have something like meditation that breaks the momentum of being pulled and caught and on and on and on. It's unhealthy the way that people are caught in the efficiency cycle and doing, and pretty soon they're being efficient in recreation, play, eating, sex, sooner, the quicker the better, right? This is because we want to be efficient. So there's becomes a habit. So you want to kind of, learn, break that cycle if we can. But it's hard. The addictions, our mental addictions, habits are hard to break. And sometimes meditation sometimes it's not strong enough, and sometimes exercise is stronger, or other things sometimes work better than sitting meditating if it's really get caught in something. And then for people who have so-called attention deficit disorder, I have friends, colleagues. I have close friends who are meditation teachers who have that. So it's possible to have that kind of mind. It's better not to call it a disorder. It's just another way minds work. And then you have to just learn how to work that mind and use that kind of mind. And what my friends have learned to do is, one of them especially, he concentrates in short spurts. He can get very concentrated for a few seconds. And he's just content with that. And then he gets around to doing it again. And so but he can't keep the focus. But he just does it in small spurts, and he's just very happy with that. And it's worked really well for him. I'm sure there's other ways of doing it. But someone told me that there's a Buddhist country in Asia where the Buddhist monks have been prohibited to teach teachings on contentment because content workers don't work very hard.
Hi, my name is Nicole, and I'm really glad to be here again after so long not being here. So thank you. I was just listening to what this young lady was saying, and I really agree with that, is that we're taught, especially as women, to be efficient and to do and take care of everything. But what I found in my practice is that when I meditate and I take that time just to blank my mind out, for some reason, I can't explain it, you maybe can explain it, but I'm more efficient. It's like there's a time to be efficient and there's a time not to be. And once I learned how to separate and give myself the permission not to be, like let's say here for 45 minutes, something happens in the mind where I'm able to keep track of things better. I'm able to be more efficient. I'm able to get more done. But I just kind of compartmentalize, like there's a time and a place for it. But when I added meditation and blanking out my mind, I got more efficient when it was time to be efficient.
Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. There's a way in which the mind that's overly busy is scattered and not really be able to focus very well. And it's also not very intelligent. It's not very creative. And so a settled mind, a quiet mind, a focused mind, sometimes is much more just efficient or creative and just really being present for what needs to be done. Maybe makes less mistakes, doesn't forget as much things, and the mind is more organized and available and attentive. And I do that sometimes. If I feel like I don't have enough time for all the things on my to-do list, I'll meditate. And it seems like the last thing you should do when you have, waste your time meditating when you could be doing things. But I find that when I finish even 10 minutes of meditation, I have so much more time than I thought before. And then I go about doing what I do, and it seems like it all works out.
It's like it brings about a better perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Caroline, and this is an ongoing question that I've had, that I've asked many people about, but always wanting to find out more tips and tricks. I can get to a point where I'm doing nothing, into the nothing, the white room.
A little bit louder?
I can get into the white room,
Yeah.
but I usually have this song stuck in my head, and the song changes, but there's always a song that kind of just pops in and just, and I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
Because there's, I'll notice it, and I'm like, oh, okay, there's that, but it's distracting. It can be distracting.
Yeah. Well, if it's not distracting, you can sometimes some people have success just leaving it in the back, in the background, and just continue with their meditation, and then don't worry about it. Some people find it useful to try to understand what's going on with the songs going on. You said it's distracting. That might be its very reason to be there. Maybe it's I know some people they use the songs in their head to comfort themselves when they're anxious. And so I know one person who had it for years in meditation until she saw, wow, every time I get a little anxious, that's when the songs begin. And once she understood that, then it became a whole different world to live in. And so to kind of sometimes to let the singing go on, but then feel kind of in the cracks of it, is there what's the subtle emotions that seems to be behind it? And is there some discomfort, some anxiety, something that seems to come along with it? And if it is, then we would bring mindfulness to that, not to the songs, and see what happens, see if that can be settled.
It's tough though, because songs are very, very often.
Sorry?
It can be difficult because songs can sometimes be very easily leading you into memories, exterior things. So it's.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to say,
Yes.
all right, just.
So it might be interesting for you to really learn mindfulness of emotions, and it's possible if you develop a much really rich or really skilled understanding of how to recognize and how to practice and how to be with emotions, that this would give you a big handle on what's going on for you. And so, I don't know if you ever heard the intro class, but the third day of the intro class that I've taught for years, you find it on Audio Dharma, is mindfulness of emotions. And there's all kinds of talks on different emotions and mindfulness, emotions. And if you get a handle on the emotions thing, it'd probably go a long way. Just learn the skill, like the raft thing. And it's possible that the being caught, being distracted in songs is a tip of the iceberg, or the Warmberg or something, of some depth inside of you, something really deeper that you haven't really addressed or connected. It's just the beginning of something. It's a deeper intimacy, deeper connection to something really important. So I would, I think it's well worth looking into. And then if it turns out if it's just a habit that you're caught in, then sometimes you can, I've known people who then went along with the singing, but they changed the song. and I know some people who there's a kind of a loving kindness songs that people do, and they sing the loving kindness phrases in a nice tune, and they just do that. And then the mind wants to go into the old songs, but it's busy with a loving kindness kind of tune that you're playing. And that's healthy and good, and that kind of begins changing the kind of shakes it up in there a little bit, and maybe breaks the habit. And then you can start singing slower and slower until you get quiet.
Those are all very helpful. Thank you.
It's a real bracket here today, Jim. They're back and forth.
I get paid by the mile.
Yeah, sorry about that, Jim. You're getting your workout. My name's Anne. So I've got a number of health stuff going on that have got me all kind of worried. And during the day, I seem to be able to, just notice the emotions, notice the worry, notice the fear, whatever. And I have ways of processing it or managing it or just observing it, whatever. But lately, I've been waking up at like 3 a.m. And the mind is all wanting to solve all the world's problems that I'm dealing with. And the brain I don't have access to any of the processing, things that, okay, this is how we can handle, now we don't need to deal with this now, we'll deal with it tomorrow. Doesn't work at 3 a.m. And so I end up like losing an hour of sleep. And I'm wondering if you've got ideas of sleep meditation, something to deal with the 3 o'clock in the morning baddies.
I don't know what the one thing that's useful to do is if you get a sense that this is a regular pattern, so when you wake up and there it is again, the same pattern, same way, and you've
Different
had a lot
worries, but same pattern.
Same worry, but I mean the same kind of same degree of wakefulness, everything feels the same. Like here I am, I've tried the best I can to fall asleep, but I've been laid on that side and this side still. I've counted sheep. I've done everything, but I know what's going to happen here. I'm just going to be awake for the next hour, an hour and a half, and maybe I'll fall asleep at some point. But this is what's happening. Is get up and meditate. Just get out of bed and go find your meditation seat, and just take the meditation posture, because the quality of attention in the meditation posture, quality of beginning to kind of not get caught in the concerns, is much higher in the meditation posture, than laying in bed. And so it might break the reactivity or the cycles or the pull, or kind of let something relax more deeply than you can relax when you're laying there.
That's brilliant, yes. I've gotten up and walked into the kitchen and gotten something to drink, and that will sometimes break it, but this sounds like a more direct.
Yeah. And you might need to prepare yourself so you have like a
Right, have it all set up.
All set up, so you just have a warm blanket you can just put around you right away, and just sit there and be for a while. And it's remarkable that I was really surprised when I started meditating that even when I had a good night's sleep, I would get to meditate in the morning, and I was be more relaxed and rested after the meditation than I had when I woke up from meditation. So there's something really qualitative good can happen there. So two things can happen. One is it allows you to relax and let go and settle. The other, because we're practicing mindfulness, you might discover better than you are in bed what's really going on. Maybe there's something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah. Thank you.
And there's also something which happens apparently that some of it might just be aging. And so just kind of like, as some people get older, don't sleep as well and wake up in the middle of the night. And rather than taking it being some great big psychological problem, it's maybe your sleep patterns are changed, and so maybe other things to be shifted so you can wake up in the middle of the night and do something efficient, and then go back to bed, go back to and sleep in late.
Hello, I'm Amanda. It's been a while, several years perhaps, that I've meditated in this Buddhist fashion. But I have been microdosing meditation I realized that the important parts of the day, to keep them from running into each other, I could just take 3 breaths. If I could even remember 1, 2, 3, it would help me to move quietly from one activity to the next. And I do that quite a lot during the day, whenever I think about it, and when I go to sleep. So today, when I came here to sit, it was as if I had leg room, that I hadn't forgotten the whole meditation process. I had kept it with me in kind of a little bag. And to be able to sit here and just be at leisure reminded me that I hadn't forgotten.
Fantastic. It's kind of second nature was in there, waiting for you. And you kept it alive with these 3 breath meditations.
Yes.
What a great thing you're doing. Through the day. Thank you. Yeah, I love the expression microdosing on meditation. I hear it's good for depression too.
Hi, my name is Jay. So I haven't spent too much time with Sutta study, but moderately. And, the sense I get often is I read it and sometimes I can feel it's just loaded, more than just just the words. I can feel a sense of compactness in it. And when I encounter, there are times when there are like 3 refrains. You know how
there are times
where this stuff is repeated?
Yes.
Like this refrains goes like 3 times.
Yeah.
So those times, I by the time I get to the 3rd time, I'm sort of checked out. And my question is this: I feel like the Buddha doesn't say. This is the sense I get, that he doesn't say anything non-essential, keeps it tight and compact, and so when I read this, it feels like what's the right word? It almost goes against the grain of all the other when he doesn't repeat versus repeating. There's a difference. I'm not sure I'm explaining this right.
This is in reading the scriptures.
The suttas, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering why he repeats 3 times. Or is there a more, because the flavor of that feels very different from all the other, when he's not repeating, it feels so compact and essential and he said everything he wanted to say.
Yeah.
But here he feels like you sort of.
So this ancient literature that was originally composed to be chanted. And when when you chant a refrain, when you sing don't listen. when you sing a song that has a refrain, most people are quite happy that there's a comfort and a familiarity and a delight to be able to, there's the refrain, and you go back into it. There's the rhythm and everything, and it just feels really good, and it sinks deeper and deeper. I've done years of chanting, Buddhist chanting. You repeat the same thing over and over again, and it goes in deeper and deeper. It's almost like the layers. Each time you chant, it goes in deeper, because there's a different avenue of absorption in chanting than in reading. Then it's very different, and so this ancient chants, which we became translated into English and printed, it's kind of deadly to read sometimes. I mean, if you want to go to sleep, read some of it. So does this answer your question?
Yes, and when you guys chanted it, was that in Pali or was that in English?
Sometimes in Pali. I've done all kinds of things: Pali, English, Sino-Japanese.
Wow, and you feel an effect even if it is in a different language?
Oh, then it's not, the words don't mean so much to me then, but then it's the chanting, the rhythm, the rhythm, the tone, the voice, the vibrations in the body, the concentration that's needed. Sometimes when I chant in a different language, I have to be more really present, and by the time I finish chanting, I'm not distracted anymore. So it's very focusing, and that's the other, So what you might do, if you like to read these suttas, is memorize some of it, and then repeat it from memory over and over again. See how it affects you. It doesn't have, you can just do it. You can just repeat it in your mind. It doesn't have to be out loud. But see, in the ancient world, they didn't have books either, and you couldn't go to the library and pick up a book, or I'll look at this later. The only time it was there is either you had to hear someone speak it, or you had to memorize it. And people's ability to memorize was much better back then. Our ability to memorize has decreased dramatically in our culture. And then people would memorize it, and then they have their library with them, and then they'd repeat it to themselves to think about it and be with it. But memorization also requires much more, something deeper inside of us than just knowledge.
Wow, that's great. Just to follow up on that. So sometimes I go to the Zen Center in the city, and I used to skip after the 5:40 sit at the end, they would have the service. And lately I've been staying, and sometimes they chant in English, and then they turn it, and sometimes they chant in Japanese. And when I do the Japanese one, it feels awkward, like I don't understand anything. But from what I'm taking, you're saying still do it. There's still there's something to it.
Yeah. But give yourself over to it. And if you find any resistance or any boredom or any judgments about it, or anything that's all extra. And you can learn not to succumb to those kinds of reactions to what's happening, and just kind of give yourself over to it completely, as if it's the most important thing in the world. And by the time you finish, your mind will be still and quiet. But if you're struggling with it and angry, and why am I doing this? And it's a foreign language, I can't understand it. This is ridiculous. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It is if you think it that way. But if you don't think that, it can become something quite meaningful.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, we used to chant the Heart Sutra in English. I used to chant it a lot, and there was something very powerful. There's these lines: no ears, no eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue, no body, do. It's like drum beat, and it goes over and over. It kind of goes deeper and deeper, and it's like this negation that you hear, and like something let go, something lets go, something lets go each time. I mean, I didn't even know what was being let go, but like, look, everything goes, and it was just like, it was kind of lovely. Emptying. So Jim up here.
Hi, my name is Michael. Earlier you spoke about the mindfulness or meditation of doing nothing versus doing something, and I was going to ask, what would you suggest is probably the best way to segue between the both?
Enjoy yourself.
Enjoy. It took me back to a time when I was a kid in Mass and trying to get through church rather quickly and doing the prayers and the Hail Marys and Our Fathers, and oh no, the clock didn't move, and sometimes I'll catch myself in the middle of mindfulness and am I doing it right, am I doing it wrong, and I try and segue between doing something, doing nothing.
Yeah, I think all those things, if you have all those tendencies in your mind, the response to all of them is slow down.
Thank you.
Slow down. So that was nice. Thank you. And maybe we're supposed to have 5 more minutes. So could we have the mic go around and you say your name? I kind of like to kind of feel the whole group and hear all the voices.
Caroline?
Sterling.
Janice,
Alan,
Jay.
Vishnu,
Irina,
Jamie,
Sally,
Lika,
Michael,
Jim,
Mike,
Amanda,
Hi, everyone. Anne Rose.
Sveta,
Nicole,
Anne,
Kurt,
Mark,
Hanya, Sue,
Bill,
Clarissa,
Sue, Laura,
Sage.
is that everyone? Wonderful. Thank you all very much. Thank you for coming. And I appreciate this very much to have this chance to be with you this way. And I hope that you have a wonderful week. And thank you.